podcast. He's Penn Live Steelers beat reporter Nick Farabaugh. I'm John Lucy, and we are live on YouTube. So get your questions in the chat for Nick as we sift through the ashes of everything that went wrong in LA and look ahead to what really looks like a must-win game against Joe Flacco and the Bengals on Sunday at Acrisure. But we're going to go right to Nick for some breaking personnel news on a new addition to the secondary. Omar Khan signed another one, and just when you were crashing out on the Steelers after that loss in La La Land, they pull you back in. So, Nick, what does this signing of Asante Samuel mean, especially when you look at the fact that these quarterbacks that were thrown against the Steelers last three games were just getting a little over 2 seconds to throw, yet they were still, making completions in that secondary. So how does this help the Steelers, and does it move the needle to give us any positive vibes going against Flacco?
I mean, they need help at corner. I think we saw that kind of bear itself a little bit on Sunday. Even though the defense was much better than the offense and has been improved, it wasn't perfect. Brandon Eccles struggled in the slot. We saw him struggle against the quick body types like Lad McConkey. Samuel can play slot. He can play outside. And the bigger thing here is this solves their conundrum, which is what do you do with Jalen Ramsey? Because Ramsey has been so good at free safety and has really limited big plays against this defense over the last 2 weeks. He's added an umbrella along with Kyle Duggar. It feels like it finally stabilized the safety position, and now you can keep him there. And I think that's just the thing. You get comfort with Asante Samuel Jr. Now, listen, Asante Samuel Jr. is not a perfect player, and there's certainly, I think, some concerns with this move. He's coming off neck spinal fusion surgery. I mean, that's the obvious one. It was done by the Steelers' team doctor, team neurosurgeon, so that helps. You literally have the kind of inside scoop on what does this look like? What's his recovery look like? What was the exact issue? So clearly, the Steelers must feel extremely comfortable about the medicals to even sign him before Asante Samuel Jr. has even come to the facility. Remember, he's coming tomorrow. He wasn't there today. He's
Right.
coming tomorrow. So that hopefully, I think, for the Steelers is you can onboard him before practice tomorrow, and he practices, and maybe he can play this Sunday. I mean,
Wow.
that's the hope. I think. Maybe you don't do that. Maybe it's Chicago, and instead you play Pierre, and I don't think that's bad. But I think at the very least, you try and elevate him on the practice squad to the active roster. You try and get this guy going. He struggles as a tackler. He's a little bit of a volatile player, but this is high risk, high reward, or low risk, high reward, rather. I mean, just a signing. I think we're talking about a guy that's a true ball hawk, that's a real playmaker. When he can get the jump on it, comes from a primarily cover three scheme. Last year, Jesse Minter and the Chargers ran a lot of similar stuff to what the Steelers run right now. So the scheme's not going to be incredibly hard for him to pick up and jump into. So I think there's just a lot of positives with this. You add corner depth, you add a quality player in the secondary, which is easily the weakest spot on this team. It's like if you made a trade deadline addition, very similar to Kyle Duggar. I think that he can be somebody, Asante Samuel Jr., that can bring stability to the back end of the defense and really help the Steelers kind of stabilize that and continue their stretch defensively, which has really appeared to be a nice renaissance for this team. And let's see where it goes. He also gets them speed. He's young. Darius Slay isn't the fastest guy anymore at
Right.
34. Now he's hurt, of course, with the concussion, but this gets some speed as well in that secondary. So checks a lot of boxes for the Steelers in that regard.
Right. And the one interesting thing, we were talking previously, when Jalen Ramsey was moved to free safety, you liked him better in the slot. And then even Collinsworth on the broadcast, the NBC broadcast of the Sunday night game, was talking about, Ramsey being out there at free safety, being the, just the prevent guy, but itching closer, wanting to, you know, make a play. You know what I mean? Is it in his nature to sit back as far as he's been doing, Jalen Ramsey, and not get his nose up closer and into the action?
They've done a nice job of allowing him to play with his instincts and not just sit 30 yards back as the umbrella. I think that's been the really cool thing is Duggar's been able to do that enough to where Ramsey's been able to roam the middle of the field in a lot of ways. And we've seen Ramsey be very active over the middle of the field, come down in the run game and make some sticks, be really good on the quick game stuff. I think that's where Ramsey's impact has been felt the most. When he was playing outside and really even in the slot, we didn't see him affect quick game enough. He would be in man to man matchups, he would cover one guy, and it would be easy to take him out of the play. Now, when he's been able to roam, he's been able to take away tight windows. He's been able to take away the chunk gains. He's been able to make the quarterbacks hold it that extra tick of a second. And there are two instances of this if you watch the All-22 where Justin Herbert had to hold the ball a little longer and the Steelers pass rush got home. And I think that's been the big thing. And we have seen the Steelers pass rush the last 2 weeks really take off. They have really won both those battles decisively. And so there's, I think, a real balance there with Ramsey and Samuel. Now, what he allows them to do there is they can really do a lot of fun things with Jalen Ramsey, and they are doing a lot of fun things with him. He's reading, he's reacting, he's making plays. I think Jalen Ramsey is like reinvigorated right now. You can tell he's playing with energy, he's playing with physicality, he's playing with oomph in his game. There's a fire there from Jalen Ramsey that I think really sticks out when you watch the tape. And I think that's a big reason why this secondary has looked a little better. I don't think everything's fixed defensively, and I don't think it's not the same necessarily fixes everything either, because he certainly has limitations as a player, and there are certainly questions there. But it's a low risk, pretty high reward signing, and what it allows them to do with Ramsey to keep him at safety, I think, is good because I do think Ramsey at slot safety is the best combination of where he's best at. But for this team, they kind of need him at free safety. I mean, they released Juan Thornhill. They don't really have another natural free safety on the roster. I know they like Sebastian Castro, who they just claimed off waivers yesterday from the Bucks, and he was good in the preseason, but still a box safety type. So we'll see where things go there in the safety room. But now having Ramsey there full time gives them someone that is a stabilizer on the back end and can really make plays over the middle of the field where they need it.
Right. And that is so crucial because we had talked about earlier before they had shored up the secondary. The quarterbacks weren't having long to throw, but they were able to make those completions because of the holes in the secondary. So now with that pass rush asserting himself, and if you look at the average time to throw, it's been staying pretty consistently low. The Steelers going against opposing quarterbacks. So now maybe we prevent some of those bigger plays that have been burning us. Is that do you see that as a as a sign of hope? Do you think?
I think it could be. Listen, I think the pass rush is really just turning it up a notch. I mean, Herbert got rid of the ball in 2.25 seconds this week. That's faster than Flacco did in that first matchup. The ball was coming out real quick. How many smoke routes did he just take the ball and throw it out to the perimeter this week? I mean, it had to be 7 or 8 times. There was a lot of that on tape, and they had to. I mean, that Chargers offensive line was brutalized, right? And the Steelers defense was on the field for a long time, and they slowed down the run game until it just kind of ended up pulverizing them because they were on the field so much throughout the game. But they never let it get out of hand. Even when they broke through, it was only a 10-yard run. It never became a 30 or 40-yard run. It wasn't a field flipper. I think that was key. I think that's another thing Ramsey's brought is he's making those run plays now 9, 10 yards, and that saves you a lot when that explosive run doesn't turn into 30 and it's only 10. That's a huge difference. And I think the Steelers really kind of have this formula of can the back end just hold up, right? The quick game is obviously the way to beat the Steelers. I mean, you look at the 3 losses they've had, and you look at the times to throw. Jordan Love 2.49 seconds, Flacco 2.27, Herbert 2.25. The Steelers' pressure rate this game was still 42%. I mean, that's absurd to get with 2.25 seconds. They had 5 sacks. Herbert was under pressure more often than he wasn't. It's just pretty crazy the stats they put up. And then when they didn't put pressure on them, they got 6 tip balls at the line of scrimmage. So, Hayward, Watt, different players too. That the defensive line played a heck of a game, and that's really everybody. Benton, I think, has come along. Watt, Herbig, and Highsmith all played really well. Harmon and Hayward are still playing really well. And so the Steelers are just getting great play out of the defensive line. So if this secondary, with Asante Samuel Jr. now in the fold, can just hold up a little more, this defense can maybe start to meet the vision that they wanted to have and not be turnover dependent. Because I think that's the big thing, John, is, we're going to talk about the offense, which I think is obviously going to be the big topic.
Right.
But this defense has been a little bit too turnover dependent, and it's a skill. They do it better than anybody, and they do it very well. But you also at sometimes just need to force punts. And I thought they did that this week. The Chargers were 6 of 17 on third downs. One of those conversions was like with a minute left. So I don't put that much stock into that one. So really 5 of 16. I mean, that's what, 33% on third down. It's pretty good. You force 11 punts. So pretty good for the Steelers defense, to be quite honest with you. They were forcing stops and forcing a good quarterback in Justin Herbert to try and make extraordinary plays, and he was hobbled on top of that. So I think the defense is moving in the right direction. Now they need to keep stacking on that, but it's at least a promising performance after what they did against the Colts, which obviously was a phenomenal performance.
Right. And the only sort of drawback is what you termed, and you alluded to the offense and what you put on social media, the lack of complementary football. The fact that the Steelers offense couldn't really convert a third down. So the defense was on the field way too much. We have uh, a note in the chat talking about what happened to the time of possession for the Steelers. Ball control offense and holding the ball and playing keep away. They can't do that if you can't convert a third down. When do we get both sides of the football going our way? And you always look at the snap counts, and there's been a lot of consternation about the snap counts for Jalen Warren. Tomlin said, "Well, if we convert some more third downs, maybe he'll get more snaps." So it's almost like a chicken and the egg type thing there. What is the solution with what you saw that went wrong with that Steelers offense on Sunday night?
I mean, it's a whole kind of disaster class. Rodgers is the obvious first point there. He did not play well, and I think that's obvious, right? We saw multiple missed opportunities. DK Metcalf wide open, streaking down the field for a would-be touchdown, overthrowing John Smith for probably another would-be touchdown, so overthrowing Gainwell in the flat. I can think throwing double coverage on 4th and 6 from the 10 when that wasn't the read. The safety, he had 2 guys open, Gainwell and Freiermuth, throw the ball. There were multiple other misses that you can point to. Everything was high. Calvin Austin on that deep corner route had a step on Nico Reed, and he underthrows it. It's just there were multiple things from a Reed perspective, from going under pressure and trying to kind of deal with that, to accuracy that stood out from Aaron Rodgers. He was a big problem. Wasn't just him, though. The receivers also struggled to get open in this game. I thought, you saw a lot of those third downs. They would press up on him, and they would play man-to-man. They would put a cloud coverage over DK Metcalf, which just means a safety and a corner on him. They would double him, take him away, and force everyone else to win. And obviously, no one stepped up to do that. Calvin Austin dropped 2 passes, including one that became an interception. At times, it became so bad Rodgers just tried to force it into double coverage. And that's what we saw on the pick. When he overthrew him, that turned what was a 5-3 game into a 12-3 game, with the Chargers getting the ball out of the half and really flipped the game on its head. Before that, it was pretty manageable. I thought the play calling was pretty poor at times. We saw some really static route concepts from Arthur Smith. And some of this might have been, Aaron Rodgers canning some run calls and turning it into passing plays. So it may not be all him, might be some Rodgers on that respect too. But I didn't love the game plan through the air from Arthur Smith in general. I thought the ground game was fine. I thought they just couldn't lean on it that much because They couldn't convert 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 2. It didn't matter where they got on 3rd down. They couldn't convert the 3rd downs. They got into multiple manageable 3rd down situations, John. They failed to convert a 3rd and 2, a 3rd and 5, and a 3rd and 3 all in the sequence in this game. So it's not like they were behind the sticks a ton. They were ahead of the sticks sometimes in manageable positions. They just couldn't convert it. So the Steelers, to me, that's a conundrum. I think the offensive line's going to get a lot of grief. And here's the thing: Broderick Jones stunk up the joint. I think on Sunday too. I think that's a big thing. Faltanu didn't have his best game. The holding call that called back the Caleb Johnson first down run really flipped it on its head. They had no points on it after a rare Boz miss, like things like that. But I thought Faltanu was fine in pass pro. I thought actually the other 4 guys were fine in pass pro. I think Rodgers' management of pressure has been very underratedly poor this year. A lot of these sacks he takes are on him. There are guys open or he has to dead it. You're not going to really get offensive lines in the NFL to hold up for 3.54 seconds. And that's when some of these sacks are coming on at times. And so there's a lot of things here. You don't put up a putrid of a performance as they did on Sunday without the O-line struggling to some degree, the play caller, the quarterback, obviously, and then the weapons around him not making plays. The one thing I do think, and I will state this, even though Rodgers was bad, is I just want one guy to make a play.
Mm.
Like Jalen Warren consistently made plays, and I think we can talk about that. Should he play more? Probably. But can one of these pass catchers not named DK make a big catch for him? I mean, Jonnu Smith, I get it. Not a great throw. Should have been right there, and you should have been a walk-in touchdown. Try and make a play, man. Jonnu Smith, I cannot recall one big catch he has made for the Steelers this year in a tight window. I think Rodgers just isn't getting that level of play from his pass catchers right now. That's because they don't have a true wide receiver, too. They don't really have a number 2 option. They're also not utilizing their second best pass catcher enough or their third best pass catcher. Because here's really, I think, what the hierarchy should be. I think Freiermuth is their second best pass catcher. I think Warren should play way more on 3rd downs. There's just a lot of different things you can really fall into. But this was an offense kind of led by an old redden quarterback that can't move, that struggles under pressure, struggled with his accuracy, and didn't have the weapons or the support from the play caller, his left tackle in this case, or the weapons around him to lift him up out of a struggling game. And I think that's what you really saw. You saw the bottom fall out because everyone around him, as well as Rodgers, was really poor in this game.
Right. And obviously any given quarterback can have a bad game, but when you have a 41-year-old quarterback, you worry about a trend of decline. Is there any signs of this being a one-off, or is there a trend of decline in Rodgers' play that you're noticing?
I mean, let's go to the safety, for example. People will say Fautanu got a sack, let up a sack there. He holds Mack for 3 seconds, and Rodgers runs right into it and then doesn't get rid of it. He just deads it into the ground. It's a fumble. He's lucky the ball bounces right up to him and he recovers it for fumble. It's not a touchdown. That's on Rodgers because really what happens is there's a backside in to Freiermuth that's wide open and it's going to be wide open based on pre-snap alignment. But if you want to go front side, Kenny Gainwell just destroys a linebacker in about 2 seconds in a quick window on a slant. If he hits Gainwell, it's a first down. Like Rodgers has to deal with that pressure better. I mean, because people will blame Fautanu for that, but it's not Fautanu's fault. That pocket was pretty clean, and he just randomly tries to drift out right. There's a lot of things that I think Rodgers is doing very poorly in managing pockets. I
Is
think
that a sign of age that he just doesn't want to take the
I
hit?
think so. I mean, he's 41, almost 42. We're talking about a guy where when you get hit, and he got the heck beat out of him last year.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's something that Jets O-line last year sucked. Like that truly was a bad O-line that was just getting him pummeled. And listen, you're 40 years old. That hurts. You get shots to the ribs, you get shots low. You know these defenders want to take shots at him. I think that's the thing.
Well, there was
These
that.
defenders.
Did you see that picture of him
Oh
getting
yeah,
in? And man,
yeah.
I just looked at that picture and I said, there's a 41-year-old guy taking that shot, and he looks just, his eyes are closed and I mean, that said a lot to me. That said a lot to me there.
I agree, and I think Rodgers has been very poor under pressure this year. And the thing is, you look at a lot of the pressure stats, he hasn't since really week 2. He hasn't been under pressure a lot. The Steelers have done a lot better job of picking up stunts. They've done a lot better job of protecting him. But there was, I believe, 6 I believe he's only pressured like 7 or 8 times in this game, but it was an absurd amount that turned into sacks, and that's been a big thing. His pressure to sack ratio is through the roof right now. He has been really bad under pressure. He's not making the right decisions. He's getting essentially skittish, and he's dropping his eyes. That's how you get plays like that safety. That's on Rodgers, man. You got to make the play. The schemed up version there, was there. And Fautanu was against Khalil Mack, and he held him for about 3 seconds. And if he hits one of those 2 guys, it doesn't matter. No one's talking about Fautanu on that play. And then he drifts right into him. I mean, it's really just a weird. It's weird. It's stuff. Some of the stuff that Rodgers has done this year is what you expect out of rookies,
Mm.
not a Hall of Fame guy. And I think it's just because the age, I don't want to say scared, but he doesn't want to get hit, right? And I think that has shown up under pressure. Remember when Ben was old? Ben lost the arm strength and the ability to throw zip. That's not really happened to Rodgers. What he has lost with age, outside of obvious mobility, is the control and the ball placement in tight windows.
Mm.
He doesn't throw over the middle of the field and doesn't throw down the field because you know what happens? What we saw on Sunday. He overthrows, the accuracy is bad, goes through picks. This is why they were quick game heavy, hit the ball, quick on short game yak stuff. That's why. And the Steelers have to figure out a way to crack this because teams are going to play up on press. They're going to take away the space, the horizontal space for them. They're not going to let you run picks. They're not going to let you run screens. They're not going to let you run all these little quick things. And that is going to be the key. Can they somehow figure out a way to do it? The way to do it's through the run game and just leaning on it more and more. But Rodgers is a guy that loves his freedom at the line of scrimmage. They're never going to take that away from him. And he's going to check out of a lot of run plays. And that's been a theme throughout his career. So there's a lot of things to go into here. They're not going to be as bad every night as they were on Sunday. I think that was uniquely bad where everything was at its low point and it was just one of those days. So I think they'll be better offensively. And hey, they have 2 really good get right games. The Bengals and the Bears stink defensively. They stink. So if you can get right against those, maybe you can get your mojo back and get a rhythm. Let's see what they do because they need to get better. But I don't think Rodgers is going to be this bad every week. But I think people now, people were saying before, he's so good and he's still playing at a high level. He was fine, but these warts were always there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they showed themselves.
And I think that's such a great point you make about the beating he took behind that Jets offensive line. And when you beat a dog too much, he flinches. He's never the same dog. And that picture of Rodgers taking that hit, it just looked like an old man thinking, what the hell am I doing? Why am I, you know what I mean? I just had that.
Yeah.
That was the caption for me. What the hell am I doing here? I'm going to throw something out that I saw on social media. It's provocative, but I just want your take on it. Is DK Metcalf? I know he's our best receiver on the Steelers roster as it's constructed, but is he really a wide receiver 1 in the NFL? Do you think?
Not really. Really kind of what I think he is at this point in his career um, is a high level 2, low end 1. I think DK has his things and has something that you can really buy into, which is speed, physicality, and high level play. But he's a very high variance football player. And we've
Yes.
seen that, right? We've seen the star power of him, and we've also seen the lows. He's not a super consistent player.
Right.
He's a guy that will have ups and downs. And so when you look at this, to me, The real big thing about DK is he is still a gravitational force, which is he opens up things for everyone else. It's teams still respect him highly because he is such a dynamic player over the middle of the field. He turns big plays into bigger plays. He turns medium plays into big plays. Like everything is heightened because of him. And he's gotten better as a contested catch guy this year. I think that's been the other big thing. But I don't know if I buy top end wide receiver one. I'm
Mhm.
not sure I see that. He wasn't that in Seattle. He is being asked to do that now. I think he's a very good player. I think he's someone that you can really highlight as a big piece of your offense, but I don't think he's a top, five player or anything like that.
Right. And there was another crazy report out there that, they were looking at, or supposedly the Steelers were looking at Washington, uh, you know, as a tackle rather than a tight end. And Rodgers put his foot down and, wants him out there. But he really didn't have much of an impact on the game. Mount Washington, he didn't really get a lot of balls at all. What
Well,
happened with that?
well, I mean, they didn't run the ball. They got into obvious passing situations, and more importantly, they also end up kind of playing Jonnu Smith more. We said this multiple times on here. I just don't understand Jonnu Smith leading this team in tight end snaps. I really don't. What does it do for them? He doesn't block at a high level. He hasn't made a ton of great catches. Farmer's been a more consistent receiver. Like we have talked about this um, multiple times over and over. Muth has to play more. Washington has to play more. I just don't understand the Jonnu part of this equation. So it's part of, I think the whole they didn't run the ball well. They couldn't run the ball. They got off the field really easily. 0 of 9 on third downs. All of this stuff, I think, is a big reason why he didn't play as much. So I think it's the Jalen Warren combo. Like, why did Kenny Gainwell play more than Jalen Warren? Probably the same reasons. I mean, the Jalen Warren convo, I know we haven't like fully dove into that yet, John, but if I may, 27 snaps of 24. He didn't play a single snap on third down in this game. 11 third downs, zero Jalen Warren snaps. Now, Mike Tomlin says he plays a lot on early downs and he can't be out there on every down. Well, can you play Kenny Gainwell on a first down every now and then? Can you play him on a second down every now and then? Kenny Gainwell's a nice player, and you can utilize him in a lot of different ways. And he runs between the tackles hard. We saw that in Ireland, right? He can run well. So it's not like he's a useless early down player. Why would you not have Jalen Warren out there on the field a little more on third downs? Utilize him in space. Utilize his ability as a receiver, as a pass protector. Just utilize what he brings. Their best offensive weapon is number 30. I
Mhm.
feel very comfortable seeing that. He's the engine. When this offense is working, Jalen Warren's the highlight of this offense. And I really think the Steelers are better off when they realize that. And so he needs to be out there on critical third downs. I mean, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. When you have a got to have it down, get him out there. He's your best offensive weapon. And so figure out how you have to do that, figure out how it all has to work. But essentially, what they have done is they have turned Jalen Warren into Najee Harris in many
Mm,
ways.
yeah.
It's kind of funny. Um, and this was kind of something we talked about last year, too, when Najee was around. Remember how the Steelers utilized him as a receiver his rookie year, and then we just like never saw it again? Like,
Mhm.
they're pigeonholing guys. It's okay to be a little dynamic and elastic with usage in times of usage. Same thing for Washington. He's a legit receiver now, man. He's not just a blocker. We've seen him make enough tough grabs. He's made a really nice catch over the middle in this one. It's okay to utilize him on third down sometimes. Like mix up the usage a little bit. You don't have guys that are just pigeonholed into these roles and they're useful players. I just think the deployment of them and the maximization of them is pretty poor from Arthur Smith in some respects. So, and I think it's been that way for a lot of the season. They go away from their run game a little too easily for me too. I mean, we talked about that against Green Bay when they just went pass heavy in the second half for no reason at all, even though they controlled the ground. In this game, they had, I think, the makings of a legit ground attack. Warren was running well. It wasn't like they weren't getting movement. It wasn't like he wasn't getting room, but things just kept dying out on them on third downs. And the Steelers never thought to themselves, maybe we keep him out there on third down and let's see what happens here. And so it really is kind of baffling to me in a lot of ways how the Steelers have approached some of that personnel deployment. And that's been both sides of the ball this year. We've talked about the defensive issues. I think they've mostly ironed those out, though.
Right. And, I think one of the best things I saw on social media is that I wish we had 53 Jalen Warrens, because I think there's an argument that he's the best player on the team. And it's not just his skill. Every play is so electric, and he plays with such almost like a life and death desperation to his play. I mean, he just doesn't leave anything on the, he doesn't, he goes all out on every play. And I just like the electric aspect of him. The way he goes about his business is just incredible. So yeah, to take that off the field for X number of downs or for whatever the reason is crazy. But we will be probably saying the same thing next week. So who knows? So let's talk about Flacco. You said Bengals are certainly very gettable on the defense. What do you think the offensive game plan is going to be for the Bengals? And with the addition of Asante Samuel, does he really make an impact this weekend? We know Flacco's a nemesis. We saw what he did. He has all the offensive weapons that the Bengals have. How do they hold him down and prevent this from being another pinball machine game?
Well, I think it's pretty easy, actually. It's kind of the plan I would have. First of all, you hope that the run game is the run defense is stout. You've been able to defend it from too high a lot the last 2 weeks.
Mhm.
So you hope that Chase Brown doesn't get a few explosives on you this time. I think that's the first thing. The real second thing, though, is last time they didn't do enough to me to just take away Chase. And I think the way Mike Tomlin talked about this matchup today, what I would do, John, just double chase every play. Like I don't even care. Is it a lot to allocate to one guy? Sure. He killed them last time. I
Mhm.
mean, yes, they have T. Higgins. Yes, Yoshi Voss is good. Yes, they have Chase Brown and Noah Fant, and they have good players. Just take away chasing. Just take away Jamar Chase. Just do it. Joey Porter Jr. can put his big boy pants on and go to battle with T. Higgins. That would be my mentality. You can use Ramsey as kind of a roaming, floating player and put Duggar and whoever the cornerback two on the outside is, and just say, you know what? Just take away Jamar. And that's all we're asking you to do. Just take him away every play. We're not going to let Jamar Chase kill us. And I think that's the real idea. Because the Steelers' defensive line, I think, should absolutely have confidence that they can beat this team. And if they can get Flacco to hold on to the football a little bit, you should absolutely have confidence that you can sack him and force some turnovers. And so that to me is really the idea here in this game is take away Chase and make everybody else beat you. The last time they went too deep into their bag sometimes and they made it too obvious. They played too much man coverage on gotta have it downs. You
Mhm.
don't need to do that this time around. Just play the bracket on Jamar Chase. Take him away and make everyone else beat you and truly do it this time. And I think, you should feel confident that you can at least slow them down, maybe get your offense into some short fields. And I think that's really the plan in this game is don't let Jamar Chase kill you because that's the way you do it. The Steelers went into last game having the same mentality, but then Chase and everyone killed him. So they
Right.
couldn't stop anybody.
Any chance we get back to some ball control here and win on the time of possession and don't get lured into the back and forth pinball machine stuff?
I guess, but they really haven't done it this year. They have really kind of just dove into this idea of, hey, can you really try and play this almost finesse style with a team that was built to not play finesse style? I don't know. It's like a weird run first team that passes too much. And then defensively, they have had trouble getting off on third downs. I think they did fine against the Chargers, and they did pretty well against the Colts too in that regard, actually. So that part is going well. But the offense, I mean, they run the fewest offensive plays per game in the NFL. I believe Alex Kozora of Steelers Depot did a study. I think they're like third worst in the last 20 years or something. It's pretty wild. They just do not run a lot of plays. I would like to see them ground and pound it. I think they can do it. This Bengals defense sucks. I mean,
Mm.
let's just not mince words. They suck. Trey Hendrickson's probably not going to play. On top of that, Shamar Stewart didn't practice. Like, they might be missing their top two edges. The safety room is a disaster. The corners outside of DJ Turner not really that good. They have young linebackers, but they're not very good. Like, you should absolutely be able to eat offensively. And last time they did, Rodgers had a really good game. But I think the Steelers should be able to go after this. I would like to see them ground and pound and just play ball control and really rocket and socket down the throat of the Bengals and control this game. Let's see if they can, but this offense needs to get right game. There's no doubt about it that this has to be a game where they get at it and really fix their ills. And because after that game, after the Bears game where you go to the Buffalo, Baltimore, Detroit's on that schedule
Mm.
after that at some point. It's not an easy road, and so the Steelers need to figure out how to get this offense rolling because everything's still in front of them. I know the Ravens are right there. The Bengals are only two back. This is a must-win game, but you know what? You win this game, maybe you win next week. All of a sudden, you're feeling a little better about yourself. 7-4. You still have an opportunity here. I think the path is to 10 wins. Can you get to 10 wins? And really, I think that's where the Steelers have to do it. This team is capable of it. I don't think it's a great team by any means, but they're certainly capable of putting out better performances than they did on Sunday.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. It's not only the division that's wide open. I mean, I think the AFC is wide open. Buffalo just lost after they looked like world beaters, against the Chiefs the week before. So I think it's a crazy year right now. The AFC just seems like it's pretty wide open, and certainly the division is. So I would just like to see, like what you said, some complementary football where the offense and the defense are both clicking at the same time. And, you know, hell, even Boswell missed a field goal last week. I mean, how often does that happen? I mean, we need all three phases, complementing each other. We haven't had that, I don't think, all season. So that's what we got to hope for at Acrisure. So a get right game for the offense, a very gettable game, and certainly let's hope some ball control and time of possession control too, and not another pinball machine where we know Flacco can deliver those points. And we'll see what happens, and we'll discuss it here next Tuesday live on YouTube. And until then, go Steelers.